I didn't know I was going to the NBA until I got to college. That's the difference between like me and everybody else who's, and this is my 15th year in the NBA.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Like everybody else was, okay, he was McDonald's All-American,
Mm-hmm.
he was All-State and all that, but I never was any of that. I was always taller than everybody. I was always good, but my freshman and sophomore year, I was on JV. I wasn't on varsity. And then I think my junior year, I left the big city and went to a small town in Fremont, Michigan. And I played at a small school where I could just really get all the touches and just gain my confidence. And then my senior year, I went to a basketball school in Chicago, Hales Franciscan, and I did well there. The major colleges wanted to redshirt me, and I didn't want a redshirt. I wanted to play immediately.
Did they feel like they needed to develop you? Was that
I
what
was
it was?
skinny, extremely
Right.
skinny and tall,
Right.
lanky, but I had the skill. I could shoot, run the floor, dribble, dunk, all of that. But they just all wanted to put weight on me. But I wasn't with that. I wanted to play immediately. So I went to the University of Nevada.
So would you agree that you were somewhat of a late bloomer, being that you didn't really?
I don't want to say I'm a late bloomer. I just say I wasn't in the right circles, I would say. I was raised by a single mother who was working at the time, so I didn't have the opportunities, or I didn't know where the opportunities were to be in the right circles of people who are elite in what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I didn't get the opportunity to go to places like that. And then when I did go to teams that had all the top 20, all five, I wouldn't play. So it was just like, I had to have that mental of, do I want to sit on the bench at a great team, or go kill on a medium team?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I had to make that choice. I got to do what I got to do for myself. So I would go to AAU teams that didn't have the top 10 guys, but I knew I was going to play the whole game. I knew I was going to get
develop.
And develop. Yeah. And you can't develop in basketball unless you're playing basketball.
Exactly.
You can do all the workouts, individual workouts you want.
Right.
But until you get game ready and game experience, then you won't understand the game of basketball.